Hey you guys, I wanted to give some insight. I've been getting a lot of emails and having some conversations with a lot of ladies on the topic of binge eating, and it kind of just, goes with an entire eating disorder, and I kind of want to give some insight on that. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, registered dietitian, but I can talk about my own experience and things that I struggled with. I'm 36. I've got 3 kids, a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 12-year-old. And when I was 15 is when I would say my eating disorders, body image kind of popped up. I remember I could binge eat and then purge and go to soccer practice, and that's kind of what I did. I found that I could eat all this food that I love, and I could go to soccer practice. I mean, a lot of that stuff happened, even to the point where I remember when like ephedra came out. I'd either do my binge eating or I'd do my restrict eating. Ephedra came out. I remember I had my parents put a treadmill up in my bedroom, and they're thinking I'm training for soccer, but really I'd have my little diet pill, and I maybe would have an apple a day, and I would run. It was just just at a very young age is when my eating disorder happened, and I'm really not even sure where it came up from, but I struggled with it for years. And I kind of want to give a little insight, answer some of these questions that I've been getting emailed. And do I binge eat today? No, I don't binge eat today. Will I eat more than I want to? Yes, I will. But like when I'm talking about binge eating, I mean, this was even up to what, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, I would stop and get like a big like chocolate chip cookie cake from Fry's, like, those like the cake ones with the frosting. I mean, I would eat that entire thing. I'd also order a pizza and eat that entire thing. I mean, my bingings would go on for hours, and definitely like super ashamed of it. And it was a cycle that I felt like I couldn't break. And so, one of the questions I got, I'm not going to name any names here, but just hopefully some of this insight, me sharing my story and journey can help you. I can't stop binging. What should I do? I go a few days eating healthy, and then I go on a binge. Oh gosh, I used to do this all the time. And when I was eating healthy, maybe I can get this question elaborated a little bit more, but like for me, from what I'm understanding from it, is when I used to do that, it's because I would try to follow like a 12 to 1300 calorie diet. I felt in my mind that was the only way that I could lose any weight. So instead, like, I know that there was a mind adjustment for me. I stopped focusing on losing weight, and I started focusing on putting nutrition in my body. And really what helped with me and took a lot of confusion out for me was knowing what portion sizes look like. I do well-balanced meals with protein, carbs, and fats. For years, I thought like I could not eat any carbs. I mean, I literally would try to not eat carbs, which would throw me in another crazy binge. Maybe I'd do it for a day or two. But those, I'd get lightheaded, and I try to power through it because I'm kind of obsessed with learning the body. My personality, I'm just absolutely, it's I'm one way or the other way. It's just, I have an addictive personality. That's just me, and I've just focused on more of the positives in my life now. But really, like, making sure that you're fueling your body properly. Make sure that you're talking with someone to understand what kind of nutrition actually fuels your body. It's funny because with all my my online training plans, I have all my meal plans are from a registered dietitian. And years ago, I'd been like, oh my gosh, like that's way too much food. I could not eat that much food. I even remember when I went to a registered dietitian years ago, and I paid for my consult, I got my meal plan, and I did not even do it because I'm like, yeah, she doesn't know what she's talking about. That's way too much food. Isn't that hilarious? I mean, that's just the way my mind thought. So it's like today, I fuel my body, and I have good energy, and I'm feeling good. And are there, I think another big thing for me was to know that even though like you have maybe a meal plan, like it's okay to listen to your body. Typically, my meals are like 6 meals a day. I do good off 6 meals a day, but you know what? Like for instance, yesterday I had an extra meal because my body just needed it, and I'm learning to listen to my body. I know what my portion sizes are of those macros, and I use those, but I don't count calories. I don't do any of that stuff. I just know what my portions look like, what a portion of protein is, what a portion of carb, what a portion of fat is, and that really took a lot of confusion away. But maybe if you're doing good for a little bit and then you're binging, maybe you could try upping your calories a little bit. Your body is so smart, and it's saying like, I need some food. Maybe you're deficient in your vitamins. We don't get as much nutrients as we need from food anymore. Like, yeah, 50 years ago, but science proves that we don't. So maybe like getting like a high quality vitamin to help fill in those nutrition gaps. I've heard binging is something you can control. How do you change your mind to control it? Oh my gosh, I've heard this too. I don't know. Maybe deep down, like, okay, a little part of me says, okay, that can kind of be true, but I don't know. And let me tell you this. Sometimes I hear it from the people that have never had a binging problem, because I can tell you what, like, okay, yeah, we can control those things, but when you're in the midst of a binge, I mean, it's almost like you can't control it. It's really, unless you experience it, I don't think that you can understand. Like, I don't think that there's been any times where like I have been in a binge and I'm like, oh, well, let me just trigger my brain and I'm going to control it. Like, there just hasn't. Sometimes it'll be like the next day, I've learned to say, you know what, we're just going to start this day over. Or say, when I first was okay with going off my meal plan and like having an extra meal, it's just like, it's not that it wasn't off plan. I'm just fueling my body. So I think that is just kind of important to know that, hey, we're just fueling our body. There's no specific meal plan that you need to stay on. The number one thing is to feed your body properly and give your body nutrition. And again, it's just going back to kind of taking those confusion out of what a portion size looks like. For years, I did not know. I was always trying to find different diets online, and wasn't by maybe an educated person. So I'm not sure if I'm binging, but I'm definitely can't lose weight, and I feel like I'm overeating. How do I know if I'm binging? Well, I think everybody's binges look different. I know for me, like, I've heard that there's some people that have had days of binging. I've had days of, like for a female, the time of the month, like I know that week that maybe I eat a little bit more, and I learned to be okay with that. It's all right. It's all good. I'm going to, that's gonna leave. Like I just knew that in my mind, so I just knew my body. But literally, like I said, like my binges were like a whole chocolate chip cookie cake and pizza, and I was very particular in what I binged on. It had anything to do with like cookies or, pizza, anything like that. I loved. So I don't know. I mean, I guess, maybe talk to a professional and just, you can kind of ask them. Again, like, I'm not a professional. I just want to kind of share with you what worked for me. There was a point in time where I actually did go to OA, which is Overeating Anonymous. And then I felt like I was focusing on food too much. And I almost made it, and I know it works for so many people. They've had such incredible results going to OA. It really helps them. It's just kind of like, AA or OA, But for me, it was like so much focus on my food and my meals that it wasn't, it almost did worse for me, if that makes sense. Like I went to OA, I went to an outpatient eating disorder facility, and I feel like, for me, like fueling my body every 2 to 3 hours is super helpful, but also know what your triggers are. Like, I know as I'm getting older, having the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old, and the 12-year-old, mainly it's, the 1 and the 2-year-old, sometimes I get like, I suffer with like anxiety, and, and I know my personality type, I can go into depression pretty easy. So, for me, when my kids are like kind of crazy and like maybe like things aren't going as planned, I have to know that those are my triggers. And hey, you know what? It's all right. It's not going as planned, but everything's going to be all right. Because that's when I find myself just kind of like putting my hand in the pantry and I'm like, trying to like eat those feelings away. So I think knowing your triggers is really helpful. For sure, exercise for me is so helpful just to keep my body healthy. A lot of people, I mean, yeah, it when you feel good and you look good, like you just, you feel better. But also, for me, I kind of treat it like a prescription for me, because I know that I always tell people it's like my antidepressant. Working out is just so good for my mind. It gets me focused. I have a more productive day. I'm more relaxed with my kids, my husband. I just get more stuff done during the day. So maybe switch like your exercise instead of like a chore. Make it be like a prescription for, to be living happy and healthy. I can't get my mind off food. It's on my mind 24/7. How do you get mind off food? I'm literally thinking of the next meal as I'm eating my meal. Yes, I've totally been there. I want you to know this is a whole process. Like I said, like I have literally struggled with this for years. Binge eating, restricting, bulimia. I literally struggled with it for years, and sometimes there's always like an underlining thing. Why? I've definitely done a lot of, counseling. I've done, I'm a very open person. I'm like an open book. You can ask me whatever. I feel like sometimes, we go through these struggles to be able to come out on the other end and be able to help people, or just be open about it. Before, I used to think I'd be like such a weak person if I shared that I would binge eat. People are always like, man, you're like always so thin, da da da, and it's like, yeah, but you don't know what I'm doing to stay thin. I'm restricting, I'm binging, I'm so unhealthy in the inside. I may look healthier on the outside, but I'm so unhealthy in the inside. Today I can say that I'm healthy in the inside, and and I feel healthy. But I think to get your mind off of it is really like keep yourself busy, but also going to talk to somebody, because I think that there's an underlying thing of why you're struggling with that, if that makes sense. There's usually something that we're not seeing, and we can kind of work through it with somebody that's a professional and kind of asking us questions about it. How did you stop binging? Oh, wow. I mean, like I said, like this was a really, really long process. And I can't even tell you, I mean, literally the last crazy binge I had was 5 years ago. And it's really when I started getting educated, when I became part of a company that I learned about nutrition, and just really learning how to fuel my body properly, learning that you don't get all the nutrients from food. Although there's so many people out there that think you do, science proves differently. So, being able to fill in those nutritional gaps. Another thing is being aware of, another thing that will make me like eat more. Not binge, but I would say like eat more, overeat. I think there's kind of a difference between like binge eating and overeating. Is I have to be very aware of, if I'm tired, I tend to go to food. So, I used to like drink like coffee, Red Bulls, and Rock Stars and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't Yeah, I mean, I felt like it kind of did something, but I found something that worked a lot better for me, more for like the mental focus, and that gave me vitamins. So I definitely felt like a huge difference with that. But also, you know, I know I'm lucky. I shouldn't say I'm lucky, I'm blessed. I've worked really hard to be able to be a flexible mom here at home. And so if I feel like, you know, if I was up all night with my kids, then I can take like a 20-30 minute power nap. Like I can arrange my schedule for that, because I do know that if I'm tired, I want to reach for carbs. I want to reach, and I'm just going to eat. Although really my body's saying, take a nap because you didn't get good sleep last night and your body needs good sleep, you know. And I just tell myself it's only a season, you know. My two little ones, if one wakes up, then they're screaming, then the other one wakes up, and it's just kind of like a little party at midnight, you know. So I think making sure that you get proper sleep. There's so many different things to overall total health. Some people are like, oh, I just need to work out and I'm going to be healthy. No, there's a lot of stuff. There's, you know, being able to handle your stress well, being able to get good sleep, putting good nutrition in your body, making sure you're exercising, putting high quality supplements in your body. And I mean, there's a lot of different things that come for total health. So I think focusing on all those instead of, like, you know, what I used to focus on, weight loss. It was like driving me crazy. I needed to weight loss. Focusing on all of those to say, you know what, no, I want to be the healthiest, you know, I want to be a healthy, strong mom. That's what was, you know, my mind frame is, I want to be a healthy, strong mom. And so I stopped, I want to be a skinny mom. I just stopped all that. And, you know, at 36, like, I'm the fittest that I've ever been. And, you know, and make sure that you surround yourself around people the same way. So that's all I got for you guys right now. You know, the other thing I want to talk about, I think I did a little bit, was restricting. If you feel like you want a little treat, I mean, have a treat. Like, that's how, at least, you know, for me, that's what works for me. Because if I say, oh man, I want a pack of Rolos, mind you, I eat 80% of the time super healthy, you know, super healthy. But I like my treats. So, you know, like if I said, oh man, I want Rolos, I would literally have Rolos on my mind for a couple days until I had the Rolos. So I'm just gonna go get the darn Rolos, eat the Rolos, and then it's off my mind, you know, and that's it. That's done with, and I'm moving on with my day. I mean, before, oh my God, I would go, like, if I had Rolos, I'd be like, well, I just screwed up my whole entire day. Let me go get some cookies, pizza, and I'll start over tomorrow. You know, that's how I would do it. Now I'll just have my Rolos and move on to my next meal. And I won't restrict my next meal, you know. Maybe I'll have my Rolos in place of a meal, but I will not restrict and hold my food back, if that makes sense. I'm going to eat every 2 to 3 hours. So I really hope that was helpful for you guys. I mean, just, you know, again, I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not a professional at all. It's just, I hope that, you know, me giving you some insight can hopefully help you if you're struggling with some binge eating too. And if you have any questions or anything, you can always reach out to me. Email me, Marci at ic3fit.com. It's just something near and dear to my heart, because I totally get the struggle. I totally understand the struggle. So, all right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.